Greetings, sending awesome, warm, positive vibrations. So today is day 30 of 30 days of intentional relaxation. Yay! We have been exploring together the practice, the intentional practice of deep breathing. While we breathe all the time, breathing is free. We have embarked on just taking a moment to breathe on purpose, right? Just being aware of our breathing, of the cadence and the rhythm of our breath. For the purpose of seeing, can be intentional about our breathing. Can it affect how calm we are? Can it be an interrupt in being triggered by people, relationships, coworkers, stress? Can it help us be more present in our bodies, as many of us eat mindlessly on autopilot, right? And these are habitual habits. So we're embarking on cultivating practices that we have access to that don't cost us anything except making an investment of time. And so we are our best investment. I know I'm my best investment. So we've been embarking on deep breathing. So today is day 30. So I've been thinking of greetings, what to embark on next. So challenge, several things have come up. One is catching the sunrise together. So these are things that I think, I don't know, I find there's certain things that just can ground you, seeing the sunrise and the sunset. So I am an early riser. I've been up since very early. Today is Saturday and market day. So I was going to come on early, but just intuitively, I was just led to clean and constantly beautify my space and make it smell nice and meditative and relaxed as I look around at flowers and a shiny floor, and my fitness equipment is all organized, and my food preparation space, the space looks so inviting. You know, the teas are set up, and my juicer and my plant milk bag, everything is set up. So it's enticing for me to go and touch these items. I have more than enough space to play and to flip. You know, so I have always been big on making my living space, wherever that is, no matter how big or small it is, my sanctuary. When I come in from outside and I close the door, I have enough things to play, to just to play, whether it's food, whether it's fitness, aka what I like to call my personal movement practice. I'm inspired to have all my tools here. And that was way before this whole thing. This is a lifestyle, so that I have access to joy. So on with our breathing. You can find a comfortable space. So I'm sitting on the floor. You can find perhaps a block or maybe several blankets to put underneath your glutes, your hips, and your buttocks to help lift you up, right? So that your spine is nice and tall, and the bowl of your pelvis, you want to make sure that it's not tucked this way, because if your pelvis is tucked this way, that can pinch your lower back. So you're going to make sure that you tuck your hips and your pelvis under, like your belly button is pointing in the direction of your face. That will help to straighten out your lower back. If we are in pain in our hips, our knees, our lower back, that's a distraction from relaxation. If you're a person that maybe has had an injury, or if you're perhaps older, you may want to sit in a chair where you're able to keep your spine nice and tall. And I like to use my clavicle as a frame of reference. So I like to roll my shoulders around, down and back, to ensure that I have a clear passage for oxygen and for blood flow to my brain, my sacred control center, you know, up here. I'm very simple and practical. I've always felt that healthy eating and movement and the arts and relaxation should be accessible, and they are. They are accessible by choice. So we find a nice, comfortable position. You can find any place to rest your hands on your knees, open, palms down, anything that is intuitive and that feels comfortable for you. Your eyes can be closed, your eyes can be open. So it's so simple. No religion required, no gurus required. I suspect this can have a profound effect on our health, right? And this, from the inside, whatever's going on in here is going to manifest on the outside. So that being said, If you need to exhale, hum, or whatever, I can't hear you. You're on your space, whatever feels good to you in terms of relaxing on purpose. Noticing if our inhale and our exhale is even, and if they're nice and long, it may seem exaggerated at first, but that's okay. After a while, you will relax into your breath. You may find that you're at a space just before sleeping. Sometimes you may doze off. Sometimes I'm relaxed and I just kind of doze off, but then I'm not dozed off. So explore what does relaxation look and feel like for your body. It's day 30, relaxation. So, how does that feel? It's so simple. It does. How much does that cost? A couple of minutes. Perhaps we may need, if we're under a lot of stress, to dial back in and perhaps breathe before we take our morning meal. Kind of think of it like it's an active, moving prayer. Perhaps in the afternoon before we eat, perhaps in the evening before we go to rest, just to reset and to remind ourselves to be present inside of our own body temple, this vehicle that we're moving around in, just to ground ourselves, like, because by the time you start talking to folks and the phone starts ringing, demands and stress, you could lose your inspiration, your motivation to move, your motivation to create something new, your motivation to dance, your motivation to be really choosy about your words and what you're putting your eyes on. Greetings. So this simple practice of deep breathing, there's so much that we could do, that we have access to, that doesn't have to cost us any money, but it is a currency. The Our attention, when we're putting our eyes on, our focus attention, I like to think of it as a currency. It's an expensive currency, your attention, who you're giving your attention and your focus to. And the things that we're looking at, resting our eyes on, a lot of times it's involuntary, right? The commercials and what's being blared out of the radios in the cars, it can really destabilize us. So why not intentional? I like to say create a great day on purpose. And that might seem really challenging if you're going through a lot. Even before this whole thing, people have been going through a lot for years. I know definitely all human beings, but definitely as an Afro person, definitely as a sun-kissed, solarized woman. Um, I'm very blessed to have had a grandma who was a very practical, simple woman. I talk about Grandma Lou and my godparents all the time. And she was a glass half full kind of person. I never heard her complain. Not that I'm sure if you're a dark chocolate with cornrows, almost 100 years old, there could have been plenty of things to complain about. But one of the reasons my grandma Lou is such an icon, I don't know that she will ever know what an impression she made on me, is because she was so pleasant. I never met such a pleasant human being. And anybody that crossed her threshold, she always had some coconut bread and a cup of tea and a plate of stew peas and rice and chicken. There was always a place for somebody to stay. She always made her place beautiful. She was so pleasant. She never gave me a negative deposit. She never dropped a whole bunch of negative deposits in my brain. And so she stands out. Oh, you're welcome. My grandma Lou, she stands out in contrast to other people, because even as a child, I was like, why is everybody else so angry? Why is Grandma Lou not angry? Why is she not angry? I saw her relax in her own skin. She always had like a little sing song. She wore her cornrows. She rocked her own hair and skin. I don't think I've ever seen her with makeup or not wear her natural hair. But her attitude, she wasn't doing something else when she was with me. Even if I was distracted or upset, as soon as I sat down next to her, I started picking peas or grating coconut and making seasoning. So she left an impression on me because um, I didn't see her angry. And I'm sure there are other things that may have happened I wasn't exposed to, but in my eyes, she stands out in stark contrast because she was a very wealthy person to me. Wealth is a state of mind, her mentality. She had stuff to give. She didn't have to yell at folks. She didn't have to beat people. I'm like, wow, how did she get like that? How did she become like that? So she made me very curious. And as I got older, when I went to visit Barbados, got my grandma Abidjan, and I was always like, how did she get like that? So she had another friend in the neighborhood named Smiley. And Smiley was almost, and all these women, she had to be almost like 100. So if you were going to the sea, because my grandmother would see certain things about Grandma Lou, key principles, she had to go get her sea bath. So somehow she was always getting to the sea. If somebody was picking her up or whatever, she knew had faith she was going to get to the sea to get a sea bath. Right. And then she'd go rub the sand on her skin, and she would always be sending a jar of seasoning or some coconut bread for somebody. So these are things we take for granted. We're looking sometimes so far outside of ourselves to other religions and other cultures. That's not wrong, but we may be missing some of the gifts that are like really close to home. And I think they're valuable because of representation. It's been very important for me to see a person that looks like me, happy, pleasant, with ease, stress, overcoming, comfortable in their own skin, creative. So my grandma Lou is one of those people for me. Her focus and a pleasant focus. She made things better, whatever environment she was in. So even though she was not a vegan, not a vegetarian, she's my inspiration to eat healthy. And I like to think that I take a lot of the gems she gave me. Like my principle of eat your own food comes from Grandma Lou. She said, if I want garbage, I made me your own garbage. But her food wasn't garbage. She was, I don't know, the essence. If you have a grandma like that, and you have, I like to say, if you have those kinds of people in your life, cherish them, right? Maybe perhaps also grandmas when they get to a certain age. Yeah, I talk about Grandma Lou all the time because I have to. People talk about Jesus or Christ or their religion, but this woman was walking around in the flesh. That's what's so important. I think it's important to see. I needed to see living representation. Also, my godmother, I needed to see an Afro woman fit. She had a six-pack forever. Still does. Her attitude, her energy. Oh my gosh, she has so much love to give and so sharp. I watch her commitment to her people, but I also watch her interact with people around the world. So I have a couple of icons who are walking around in the flesh, my godparents to this day, and I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. And some people may not have that. So I share my godmother and my godparents and my grandma Lou all the time because the fact that they were living, walking in the flesh, I got to put my eyes on them. To me, it's much more powerful than a religious story. It's really, we need to see ourselves reflected. I think it can make it easier for us to look in the mirror and see the possibilities for ourselves. So I just wanted to say thank you for all of those that have joined in with me on 30 Days of Relaxation. Feel free to replay and go back through the series on this channel. I encourage you to make a positive use of the internet. There's so much in education. We're not using this little screen to educate ourselves and better ourselves. What are we doing? That is very revolutionary. I encourage you to start a garden. So I post some of the simple things I've been doing with my sister on Instagram, on Body-Culinary Instagram, on my little TikTok, which I have been using as a manifestation tool. And for those folks that may not know, I work in the field of nutrition. Whole foods nutrition is my specialty, and also fitness. And I have always, ever from the time I've had a son who's a big man now, known that movement, before looking good, I knew how it would make me feel. And I have found I'm so grateful for movement because it is such a therapy I have access to that I can do for myself. So that's something that I coach folks in, especially women, mothers to be, women, young women. The practice of self-care is like, many people see it as a drag. I see it as been so liberating between my movement practice, peaceful consumption, fresh fruits and vegetables, creatively, my hair. I'm always looking for freedom and for play. So perhaps I'm thinking of what the next thing I will share on this channel. And I have this thing, I don't know if folks will be able to stick it out for 30 days, but of catching sunrises and sunsets. So those are phenomenal times. There are things we can do to ground ourselves and cultivate practices. These are things we have access to, right? So folks are casting spells, which is really practical, using tones and sounds and words to incite fright and fear and to have us re-looping trauma. So why not program your own computer? Why not cast a spell on yourself? Why not? So I'm going to head to the market. My space is nice and clean. I'm going to get into the garden. I'm creating a whole new area. I've gotten some more scrap lumber, which is some beautiful trees. Like, folks, grow something. But we've got some new celery planted. Broccoli rabe is coming. Siberian dwarf kale is coming up. Eggplant is coming up. Cilantro, lemon, basil, and time. You're welcome, Jaleesa. Love One Way, Rosemary. I'm sending you all some warm, positive vibrations. Usually on Saturdays before this whole situation, the pandemic kicked in, I would take folks with me to the market. So I've put quite a few videos up. If you scroll back through this channel and also on what do you call that thing? Facebook. But all of these different channels have different energies, and it's a lot also. It is what it is. Predatorial energy out on the internet. So I just make an effort to steer clear. And then it's also the tiny space workouts. There's several. I also love African dance. So they're African dance mixed with strength training and flexibility. I have several of those that are free on the website, so you're welcome to join in, and we'll see what other fun things. But I'm feeling like catching some sunrises and sunsets. So I am an early riser, so the early bird gets the prize. So, let me see if there's some things before I jump off that are coming up. A cocoon fast is coming up, and also abundance, rest, and reset. So the word fast is so loaded, and although I've been trained in fasting and stuff, I feel like so much is loaded into a fast, right? And the context is everything, and sometimes we can set ourselves up for failure and put too much pressure on ourselves. So I like the idea. Oh, great, Love One Way. So the cocoon, for those folks that are interested in going into a cocoon. So it kind of, nature and kind of the universe has already kind of pushed us into a cocoon where many of us didn't want to slow down and turn within. So now we're in a cocoon. So the cocoon, what that's going to be for those folks that want to join is really going in on another level. So for those folks that have been wanting to start a garden, wanting to overhaul their food and consume whole living foods, want support and expanding on their natural beauty, and particularly if there's anyone out there, any women, I feel very passionately, that are dealing with lots of acne, which I have had lots of acne, that are dealing with a lot of adipose tissue, collecting as a manifestation of weight. I really make that distinction. Not just weight. People just say weight and not really distinguish what that is. If you're feeling like you're not at a healthy weight, and you want to experience clear skin and self-care, going into a cocoon. So that means like disappearing off the scene, right? And really going in with some practices and offering support for a lot of women. So recipes will be in that too. But I've mentioned a lot on this channel. Before recipes are important. I think more important is discovering what is your big enough why you're doing what you're doing. Because someone that worked in a holistic health center for several years, most of the people I do 1 day, 3 days, 7 day, 21 day, 40 something day fast. Most people, and again, also with fitness and personal training, usually don't maintain. So I'm very passionate about supporting folks and holding space, right? For them to understand their whys. And I'm always fascinated by what is going to help motivate somebody to be consistent and to find their sweet spot without all the labels, right? Because the labels are not usually enough to keep us sustainable on a path of health and fitness. So what is going to support people in being consistent? One of those things is support and basic comprehensive education, right? So I can give you lots of raw recipes, but if you're still gorging on too much nuts and seeds and things like that, even if you're eating quote unquote raw, right? Which is why sometimes I have a tendency to not get caught up on the label, because we can carry a lot of our, no offense to anyone, we can carry a lot of our Pringles, potato chip, fried chicken mentality right over into vegan, right? So that doesn't mean that we're eating lots of fresh fruits and vegetables. That doesn't mean that we're still not using food as a pacifier. So if that makes sense. So there'll definitely be some recipes in there, but there's something bigger than just the recipes. There's actually no shortage of recipes. And even now, raw food chefs. So I think there's something even bigger to explore in our relationship, and that is actually a big part of my practice. And what I work with clients is how we're consuming, our state of mind as we're consuming and what we're consuming, right? It's a mentality. Whatever we're putting into our mouth, let me jump off here. I got to go to the market, but I'm going to move forward with this for the day. Is I invite you to consider what you're putting into your mouth, right? It's fuel as energy, right? And we're consuming energy right now. There's an exchange, right? There's something that you come when you go online. We search and we Google and we're looking for things, information. But look, if we consider it's energy, if that energy is, and it's actually practical, inspiration, laughter, distraction, but it's still a form of currency. It's a form of energy that we're consuming. Food we're looking at as fuel, but it's also an energy, right? So I invite you to consider what kind of energy are you consuming, and is the energy, is it that you're consuming, is it energy that demotivates you, motivates you? Is it heavy? Is it light? To consider the energetics of what we're taking in and how it's making us feel. And if it's distraction, it's still a form of currency, if that makes sense. So anyway, in that vein, create a great day. I invite you to create because I don't tell grown folks what to do. I invite you to create a great day on purpose, in spite of everything that's going on purpose, simply because you said so. Simply because you said so. All right. See y'all soon. Feel free to subscribe to the channel and perhaps share it with someone who could benefit. All right. See you soon.